Hello everyone, my name is Shelby Trott and I wrote my cultural groups paper over the discrimination against the elderly. In today's society, the elderly makes up a large percentage of the United States population. Over the last few decades, the elderly's population has increased drastically and has continued to grow to this day. According to the 2011 census, there are 40 million people aged 65 and older in the United States, which accounts for over 13.7% of the United States population, a percentage that is expected to increase dramatically to 20% by the year 2030 due to the aging of baby boomers or persons born between 1946 and 1964. The elderly are a huge part of society, however, they are also at risk within society. Like mentioned in the textbook, older adults or persons at or approaching retirement age are more vulnerable to the negative effects of the current economic crisis. This population is rapidly expanding in the United States due to the advances in modern medicine and technology, as well as changing public health policies that have extended average life expectancies. Society is changing day to day. New technology comes out, new laws are put into place, new medicines are found. All of these are positives, however, they affect the elderly negatively. The elderly cannot keep up with the new ideas and inventions coming out, and this can confuse and put them at risk due to them not fully understanding what is occurring. Another way the elderly are at risk is due to ageism. Ageism is the stereotype that the elderly can or cannot do something due to their age. This puts the population at risk due to ageist attitudes and biases based on stereotypes reduce elderly people to inferior or limited positions and can reduce their quality of life as they internalize these false stereotypes. When someone is ageist, they are being prejudiced toward the elderly and judge them due to their age. The elderly makes up a large part of society today. However, they are portrayed negatively and experience harsh discriminations due to their age. 2 recent U.S. studies showed that roughly 1 in 10 elderly people surveyed had suffered at least one form of elder abuse. Much like other types of abuse, some social researchers believe elder abuse is underreported and that the number may be higher. Similar to younger women, older women are more likely to be victims of verbal abuse than their male counterparts. Within the United States, the elderly have experienced physical, verbal, and mental abuse, as well as neglect and mistreatment. Some consider the elderly to be weak, so many take advantage of them. The elderly get mistreated due to their age, and they get oppressed constantly. The elderly have been oppressed numerous times within the workplace. They have been rejected for a job and were forced to resign due to their age. Another way the elderly has been oppressed is when it comes to education. In the past, it was not common for the students to get a high school diploma, nor to even make it to high school. So, in today's society, the elderly are portrayed as not being knowledgeable and or up to date with the current studies. So, the elderly are oppressed educationally due to the gap of norms from different decades. The level of educational attainment of the elderly population is currently less than that of the younger population. This educational gap by age group has narrowed since 1950 and is expected to nearly close in the next decade due to increased compulsory secondary school requirements, as well as educational opportunities made available by the GI Bill after World War II. In the United States, the elderly have been abused, mistreated, and oppressed. They are looked down upon and face discrimination due to their age. Many marginalized groups, people of color, women, LGBTQ individuals, older adults, persons with disabilities, etc., in our society live under an umbrella of individual, institutional, and cultural forces that often demean them, disadvantage them, and deny them equal access and opportunity. Throughout history, the elderly has been portrayed as knowledgeable and or filled with wisdom. The elderly were said to have all the answers and were seen in a positive light. However, in today's society, they are not portrayed as that. There are numerous stereotypes that depict the elderly negatively. According to existing stereotypes, older adults have declining physical and mental capabilities, have grown rigid and inflexible, are incapable of learning new skills, are irritable, and should step aside for the benefit of the young. The elderly are seen to be rude, scatterbrained, helpless, and weak. These are only a couple stereotypes that follow the elderly in today's society. The elderly are seen in a negative light today. However, there are a few positive stereotypes that have followed the elderly through history. Stereotypes such as strong-willed, dependable, and wise have been maintained and still to this day thrive. The elderly face negative stereotypes constantly, however, they fight those negative portrayals and are seen in a positive light by many. The elderly carry many values and norms with them through life. As a person gets older, they value their life and family more. They do not take anything for granted and try to live their life to the fullest. Normative values, tradition, and religion tended to get more important with age and were most important for older adults. The elderly also starts breaking away from the social norms that others have put into place. They start living life as they see fit. First, because everyone expects to die one day, and because we experience physical and mental decline as we approach death, it is natural to withdraw from individuals and society. Second, as the elderly withdraw, they receive less reinforcement to conform to social norms. Therefore, this withdrawal allows a greater freedom from the pressure to conform. The elderly has faced discrimination, abuse, and oppression, yet they still remain strong and positive despite the negative portrayals. The elderly does not let the stereotypes and prejudice get to them. They remain strong-willed and positive. There has now been a term that the elderly use to describe their positive coping and how they stay strong-willed. They call it positive aging. Positive aging is basically adopting a positive view of aging as a healthy, normal part of life. And it's the mindset that you will do whatever is needed in order to continue doing the things that you love and are important to you as you grow older. Among the study group, seniors who held more positive views about the aging process actually lived 7.5 years longer than people who negatively perceived aging. Older people who perceive themselves as a burden to others view their lives as less valuable, which in turn ups their risk for depression and social isolation. Being depicted negatively and experience harsh stereotypes can really affect an elderly person psychologically. However, they have came up with positive ways to cope with this discrimination, and they continue daily to beat the negative depictions. The elderly is just one out of many groups in the United States that is judged and or discriminated against. Ageism is a term that has risen from this prejudice. The elderly face oppression as well as abuse constantly. However, they fight against all stereotypes and odds against them. As a social worker, one should understand that the elderly face prejudice daily and come up with ways to fix this issue, as well as how to help them overcome those hardships. It is important to be knowledgeable about the changes that are generally experienced by older adults. However, it is also critical to empower our older clients to challenge the myths and stereotypes of the aging process that can operate to limit their perceptions of viable options and opportunities readily available to them that can enhance their overall lifestyle satisfaction.